Hola amigos and amigas, it's me, Carolina, the storyteller. Today, we will dive into the ocean and turn the world upside down using the power of our imagination. But before we dive into the waters of the ocean, I want to thank the Palm Beach County Library System for making this fantastic storytelling time possible. Today's story comes from Puerto Rico. But for my English-speaking friends, it'll be Puerto Rico, which is an island in the Caribbean, right there. Now, do you know what language they speak in Puerto Rico? I'm listening. Yeah, they mostly speak Español, Spanish, but English is also their second official language. And one cool thing about Puerto Rican Spanish is that it's unique. Oh yeah. Not only they speak like a jet, super fast, but their Spanish is a mix of European Spanish, the Taíno language from the first inhabitants, and African languages. So whenever you venture to La Isla del Encanto, the island of enchantment that is Puerto Rico, be aware that you are in for a beautiful experience that may challenge your knowledge of Español, Spanish. Oh, there is so much more we can say about Puerto Rico, but let's dive into today's story. How the island of Puerto Rico was born. Once upon a time, a rock lived at the bottom of the sea. It had always been there, like an old forgotten tree. From the beginning, it had always been half buried in the sand, with its tip pointing upwards to the surface. But this rock was unlike the others at the bottom of the sea. It had dreamed of growing big enough to see the sky, like a mountain watching the sea. Its neighbors knew of this odd desire the rock had. Yet most sea creatures thought the rock's longing was ridiculous. When the octopus slithered around the rock, he would say, "Oye tú, that thing you wish is unthinkable, impossible, and quite unlikely." When the barracuda fish, known for her scary looks and ferocious attitude, swam around the rock, she would say, "Oye pana, that thing you wish is unthinkable, impossible, and quite unlikely." When the moon jellyfish came by, contracting and relaxing like a master acrobat, she would say to, "Oye bonita, the thing you wish is unthinkable, impossible, and quite unlikely." Despite how often the rock heard the same thing, it was never discouraged by it. It knew that its determination would one day take it to the surface. There was no room for hesitation. One day, things happened differently than usual. While the rock was immersed in its thoughts, a tiny hermit crab, un cangrejito, came to take shelter under the rock. On that day, the little one was looking for a new shell. El cangrejito, the tiny hermit crab, discarded the old armor that was now too tight. And before looking for a new one, he walked around feeling very light. This tiny hermit crab was unlike any other fish the rock had seen. Although unclothed and in danger of becoming an easy meal, the tiny creature began to dance, showing all his fun features.
Menealo, menealo, menealo de aquí para allá. Menealo, menealo, que tú lo sabes gozar. Menealo, menealo, menealo from left to right. Menealo, menealo, you know how to shake it right.
The happy dancer kept singing and prancing, unaware of the world around him. It was the rock who noticed a bigger fish El Mero Cabrilla, who had spotted El Cangrejito and was about to make him his meal of the day. El Mero Cabrilla, the bigger fish, swam closer to the little crab. Soon, El Mero Cabrilla was sucking the waters, trying to swallow the unaware singer. Oh no! Pobre Cangrejito! The little crab felt a strong vacuum, sucking him into a toothful and voracious mouth. And so he yelped, Socorro! Ayuda! Help! Swiftly, the rock offered the little crab one of its ledges to hold on to. El Cangrejito, the tiny hermit crab, held on to it with all his might. The hungry fish continued vacuuming the waters, but the little crab held tightly onto the ledge. The struggle continued for a while until the bigger fish, El Mero Cabrilla, got tired and swam away, looking for an easier prey. Once recovered from the fright, the tiny hermit crab quickly looked for a discarded shell that fitted him like a new armor. Then El Cangrejito came around the rock and expressed his gratitude, saying,
Bonita gracia. What can I do to make you happy?
The rock didn't reply. Rude? No, it's just that rocks can't talk because they don't have mouths. In truth, the rock did not need to say much. El Cangrejito, the little crab, already knew what the rock desired the most. So he said,
Oye, por ser tan buen panita, my friend, I will help you achieve your dream. But know that it will take some tiempo. It won't happen overnight. I hope that's all right.
Oh, the rock had waited the longest. Tiempo, time, is all the rock had. The rock was happy to hear for the first time in centuries that his dream was feasible, possible, and imaginable. At once, El Cangrejito, the tiny hermit crab, went to the bottom of the sea, also known as the belly of the world, and with his petite and skinny legs, he began to scratch the surface. There, El Cangrejito, the little one, began to dance. He figured that if he could tickle the world's belly, the earth would burst into laughter and things could change much faster. And so, while scratching and dancing, El Cangrejito, the little hermit crab, moved at the tune of that old song he sang.
Menealo, menealo, menealo de aquí para allá. Menealo, menealo, que tú lo sabes gozar. Menealo, menealo, menealo from left to right. Menealo, menealo, you know how to shake it right.
But what can one cangrejito, a small crab, could do to change the world when nothing changes out of the blue? Yet, it is known that small acts can change facts, especially if you believe that. Turns out that hermit crabs, unlike their name, are very friendly and live with their extended families. Soon, El Cangrejito, the little hermit crab, was calling his hermanos, hermanas, tíos, tías, primos, primas, abuelas, abuelos, all the members of his family and friends. Together, they joined El Cangrejito's dance, which scratches the bottom of the ocean and tickles the sand.
Menealo, menealo, menealo de aquí para allá. Menealo, menealo, que tú lo sabes gozar. Menealo, menealo, menealo from left to right. Menealo, menealo, you know how to shake it right.
The dance of all those hundreds of cangrejitos, little crabs, became so contagious that at times you would see a manta ray flapping around, going insane. Other times, the shrimp and the oysters would bring their drums and join in great numbers. No fish at the bottom of the sea escaped the desire to move their bodies and be free. The years passed. And El Cangrejito, his family and friends, pass the song and the moves to the other tiny hermit crabs. In time, their particular way of dance gave rise to a new generation of cangrejitos, the tickler's crabs. This new species no longer had skinny limbs. They had the most magnificent dancing legs that moved with such grace that it was just a matter of time for the earth to shake out of place. Centuries passed, and many thought it was ridiculous how committed those cangrejitos were to dance. Nothing had changed. The earth had not burst into laughter. Yet they knew this was not the end of this chapter. Those little hermit crabs kept dancing to show gratitude because life is much easier when you show a good attitude. And they were right. One day, the unthinkable happened. The earth could not resist centuries of tickles. It laughed so hard it provoked a massive shake felt for thousands of yards. The world almost flipped upside down. You know how it is when you laugh like a clown. The world was so full of joy that the continents broke off. On one side remained Africa, and on the other, the Americas were formed. The rivers changed course. The deserts flooded, and the ice caps melted. But it mattered no more. The world was indeed changing. The earth shook so much that from her belly sprouted 28 blasts of lava, in time giving rise to many islands. The rock at the bottom of the sea felt itself growing taller, being pushed upwards by a mighty force from deep down below. In minutes, the rock was no longer a rock. It was no longer at the bottom of the sea. It was now a mountain, watching the sky and feeling the breeze. And that is how La Isla de Borinquen, the island of Puerto Rico, La Isla del Encanto, was born, out of a dream held dear for so long. And what happened to the tiny hermit crabs, you may ask? Well, los cangrejitos, the little crabs, adapted and continued to dance. Today you can find them in the sea and also on land. And that, my friends, it's the end. Wow, what a beautiful story. Now I want to visit Puerto Rico and meet those sweet little hermit crabs. But before that happens, let's talk more about these marvelous tiny creatures, los cangrejitos ermitaños, the hermit crabs. These curious crabs can live up to 40 years. That's a long time for such a tiny little creature. Did you know that they are not actually crabs? Yeah, they were given the wrong name. Let's start with the hermit part. First of all, these beautiful creatures are not solitary beings. Instead, they are very social, and they have been found in gatherings of more than 100 hermit crabs, especially when they are looking to find their mate. Also, they can become pets, but I do not recommend it. Although cute, not being around their relatives and friends can make them quite lonely. It is best if they are left to grow and enjoy life in their natural habitat. These little creatures don't have exoskeletons like blue crabs have on their backs. Now, do you know what an exoskeleton is? I'm listening. Yeah, it is an external skeleton, like an armor or a shield that protects the animal. Unlike crabs, we humans have our skeletons inside, and we only have our skins and clothes to protect us. Bummer. Also, the hermit crab's exoskeleton is on the front because it can't grow its shell on the back. So the shell they carry around in the back is usually one that has been used or tossed out by another animal. So you see, these little creatures are naturally traders and quite the recyclers. In conclusion, hermit crabs are more like lobsters than usual crabs. And that is all for today, mis amigos and amigas. I will see you in the next video. Adiós, adiós.